Sustainable events are making their mark and not just a face. Hear from Yusno Yunus of Evanesys and Michael Tan of UOB on how to drive and quantify sustainable events by combining best practices and technology in this next Quantify session.
Hi, Yusno.
Hey, Michael.
Okay, good to have you here today. Yeah.
Nice meeting you again.
All right. Yeah. So this is a very interesting session that we're going to talk about sustainable event. And I mean, good to have you. You're a CEO, founder of Evanesys. And I think you guys have been in the market for the longest time. I've been knowing you for at least more than 5 years now.
Yeah, bro. Yep.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Okay. So yeah, it's a very interesting topic that everyone has been talking about, and I think the keywords over here is sustainability. And of course, with this theme for the event, we're going to talk a bit about how the platform and how on the data that you have, how it can actually help organizers and participants to run a much more sustainable event. So yeah, perhaps we can jump on the first question that probably we can discuss. Firstly is on what are some of the environmental impact, right, of an event, to the ecosystem, and what are some of the common challenges on the environmental impact to the society today?
Thank you, Michael, for the question. So just a quick introduction. My name is Yusno. I'm the CEO of Evanesys. So what we do is we provide event technology for event organizers. So we cover end-to-end from pre, during, and post-events. So as Michael mentioned earlier, we've been in the industry for over 12 years now. So it's been a while, but we are also in the process of ensuring that people who are in the events are getting a better experience. And nowadays, as you are mentioning as well, that we are looking at a more sustainable events. And I believe technology can definitely help that. So coming back to your first questions, right, Michael, which is the impact, the environmental impact of events. So as you know, a lot of the things that are happening in events involve traveling, right? So if you are doing, nowadays, a lot of countries have reopened, people are coming back to do a live physical event. So people are basically traveling, taking flights in and out countries, driving. So all of these are basically emitting a lot or leaving a lot of carbon footprint. So this is something that we should be very aware of. Other than that, I think in the entire ecosystem of events itself, it involves a lot of suppliers. So, whenever you need an event, you need a venue, right? So the venue itself has to ensure that they have sustainability practice. So we have to look at how the venue is being set up, the food, the F&B sites to ensure there is minimal wastage. So I think I just came back from an event last week and I was quite surprised because the amount of food that was served at the end of the day were beyond what we were supposed to consume, you see. So estimating the right amount of food is super important in an event so that you don't really waste it. And you need to have a plan in case there are wastages. So you need to know what needs to be done with the food. Other things that are involved, I would say a lot of things are still nowadays being printed. So if you go and walk into any events, they still print badges, right? They still give you papers, the agenda, the booklets, right? So these are the things that event organizers have to really watch out for and try to reduce as much as possible. So in sustainability environment, you're looking at first rethinking of the entire concept of running an event. And if you cannot do that, you would have to look into what are the things that you can reuse and then reduce. And last but not least is recycle. So I think these are all the environmental issues that we are seeing in the events ecosystems, the business events, and also MICE industry. So hopefully that will give a better idea to everyone about what we are facing right now. And later on, most probably I'll be sharing in terms of how technology can help basically solve or reduce some of these issues.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I am in line with you in terms of the, the sustainable event management. It's actually a set of protocol, right? Because I think it's also reflect on the responsibility of event managers and of course then the operators, the vendors and suppliers, and of course participant will play a very important role as well. So yeah, I think this is something that have been. I mean, we can see that with the reopening, a lot of events are coming back, especially those face to face. And I believe that the planning and the coordination right at the beginning is very important because ultimately at the end of the event, you have to make sure that all these important parameter, important component of sustainable event, right, is in place. Yeah. So, I mean, for event assist, how do you then, help events to be more sustainable? Maybe you can talk a bit about your platform, and I do also understand that there are like wide data of range of data that they can actually use to basically understand the carbon footprint of the events better. Yeah. So yeah, perhaps you can share a bit about that.
Sure, Michael. So I think when you think of technology, the first thing that we will always hear right now is going digital. Everything you would like to digitalize, right? Because that means you're moving from manual process to automation. And that also means you're using basically less people. So by default, that itself is an initiative for us to go green, for us to be more sustainable and eco-friendly. So when we first started, that has always been our objective, which is to move people from paper to paperless and eventually paperless. So system itself will get you to a certain stage. So at the moment, we are enabling people to reduce papers, definitely. That's number one, because when you go digital, you are eliminating all of this paper invitation, right? You are eliminating a lot of this agenda printing. Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago, there's another event that I attended who are basically leaving a lot of this event agenda on a piece of paper on the seat itself. So as you come into the hall, you basically can pick up the paper and then read the agenda. I think this is still old school, and this is still causing environment to be harmed in a way because you're still printing unnecessary stuff. So you can use event app so that you can go without printing. The other thing that we're looking at as well is, Michael, when you are attending an event, and previously you see a lot of pre-printing of badges, you see, because people are just basically printing and then on the day of the event, they will distribute. So this is not what we call just-in-time printing. So what we are practicing right now is as and when you are attending, we are trying to reduce wastage. So this is where, as you are checking in, we scan you, then only we will print the badge on site and give it to you. So this is another way of reducing rather than totally eliminating that, because as you know, in a lot of events, especially B2B events, people still value their badge and lanyard, right? Because it's a faster way of identifying each other. So technology can, again, if not eliminating, it is actually reducing some of the unnecessary printing. Now, during pandemic, Michael, I think all of us are so used to virtual events, webinars, and even the session that we're having today. So this is also another way that event technology has actually reduced traveling. Yeah. So people, we no longer have to travel, but of course, with the reopening of everything, physical events are coming back, and it is not bad. But what we are saying here is that with the advent of hybrid technology, you can always balance out the need, whether you need to travel or you can actually attend the event without being present physically. And this would definitely reduce some of this traveling carbon footprint. Now, another thing that we are also promoting or encouraging is the use of lead capturing or lead tracking app. So in B2B or business to business events, when you are visiting booths, you are actually exchanging business cards, right? So when you are doing this, again, you are actually having some physical form of papers being exchanged in the event. So if you are using a lead tracking or lead capturing app, what you need is just phones, mobile apps, and with the features that we have embedded in the app, all of this data, all of this contact, your connections can be downloaded towards the end of the day. So these are the things that we believe what we have right now that can help event organizers to be more sustainable. But going back to the fact that data itself, because when you are going actually sustainable, and we are talking a lot about green sustainability nowadays, Michael, it seems to me that events are not really tracking the actual amount of carbon footprint that they are emitting as a whole. Number one, it is costly because there are a lot of areas that need to be covered from pre, during, and post. The other thing is there is no exact tool that can give you an accurate measure. Of course, there are a lot of third-party carbon calculators out there, but you need a place to keep those numbers and data. And this is where I think Evanesys can play a big role. This is where we are allowing event attendees, the participants, to be able to identify and tell them or tell the organizers how where and from where they are traveling from and to, so that we can then capture the number of footprint or carbon emission that they are leaving. So at the end of the day, event organizers would then be more aware, and then they could then plan something else, whether they could do an offsetting or an insetting waste to neutralize or to make it net zero at the end of the day. So these are some of the things that Evanesys is doing as a technology company, as a company that is providing software for event organizers to ensure the numbers are tracked, the numbers are being displayed. Awareness is super important right now. This is not something that is immediate, yeah, Michael. It will take a long time for this to really happen. And we are really encouraging a lot of event organizers to go net zero, hopefully net zero carbon events at the end of the day.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Because I know that the larger an event, the more significant impact it will be, and I think that also applicable on the positive and also on the negative aspect of it. I mean, admittedly, sustainability might not be the main driver of adoption of virtual event. I think the increase of adoption of virtual event happens because of the pandemic. But I think it is a blessing that it has created a lot of positive effect. Participants don't have to travel, and they reduce the collective carbon emission of the event. They don't need to find the lodging and all these catering services as well. So we know that events, virtual events can be something that easily scale. And I think that also has significantly reduced the need of smaller offline event. If you look at the scale of the event today, if it's virtual, right, it is quite big scale in a way. Yeah, maybe you perhaps it would be good for you to share, some case study, or what are some of the feedback that you have been receiving from event participant or event organizer of them using your platform, and how it has actually shifted behavior, right? To participate in a much more sustainable event. What are the feedback for your adopters so far?
I must say, when we first talked about it at the beginning of the year, when we were working with some of these government agencies and ministries, they were really open about it. They really understood the importance of going green. Unfortunately, a lot of things are still not in place. So the best we can do at this point in time is still educating the entire supply chain. So at the end of the day, I think event organizers, what we can do from our end as a supplier, as an event technology, is to ensure our clients are aware, adopting some of these practices as well. Our suppliers, so for example, if we are supplying batch printing, we have to actually work with the suppliers of that batch itself. So we have to ensure that they are also providing something that is recyclable, non-polyester made. So when you are keeping the entire supply chain within, in line with your vision, in line with your planning, I think maybe in the next few years, the entire industry and ecosystem would be more sustainable in that way. But I must say that one of the events that we've been a strategic partner to in May itself, this was an event where they were getting a plane, making it an artificial reef in Terengganu. So this was done by a government agency. And one of the reasons why they approach us is because it shows that a lot of things can be done without the need to print. So that itself is showing that the first step that they are taking towards a sustainable event. So everything from the invitations to the government agencies, ministries, VVIPs, including upon arrival, everything was done using mobile phone. So I think we can always start somewhere. You don't even have to look at the entire thing yet. Do what you can. This is the message that I have for today.
Okay, yeah, because putting an eco-friendly event is not about, manage your internal operation. I think if everyone then able to play a part on education and having the awareness that there are many ways that they can be more sustainable, be more green, be more eco-friendly, I think that will be a good start. Yeah, and we do see that especially for the past few years, the growing environment concern and pressure from consumer or in fact regulatory body has also been playing a part. And we know that the eco-friendliness became a necessity of our time. So I think in another word, company can deliver sustainable event and having event as a platform to play a part, it will give upper hand to the industry. And I think it's a blessing that the whole digital economy have take up and that allow more tech platform to play its role. I mean, in this important era of climate change and sustainability as well. Yeah.
Maybe if I can add in one last point, Michael, I think at the end of the day, a platform like Evanesys and other technology providers is about capturing the data itself. So when you are in Marcom, you're doing marketing, what you really need is the right data. So if you're able to compile, to capture this data in a system, regardless of who's managing that, right? As you know, organizations, we change people come in and out, right? Come and go. So as the data is in the system, events data, the participants, the number of carbons emitted, so you are able to do or plan better events in the future. And more so, you are able to tell your stakeholders about some of these achievements because of this data tracking and the data analysis that you are doing within the system. And this is where I think at the end of the day, you are able to brand your event to the next level, because people are now really going into all of the sustainability elements. And if your event is definitely going towards that way, I think it will get the better support and definitely better engagement.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think data today play a very vital role in decisioning. Data is key. Data is king. I mean, some people say it. And of course, the branding element is also very important. And I think today it's much more easier to get that done via an online channel. So it's good to have you, Yusno. I think we are running out of time. And to the audience that dialing in today, Evanesys have a masterclass. We call it Evanesys Masterclass. Yunus will be there to guide you how, what are some of the trends and what are some of the challenges and opportunity gaps that you can actually learn along the way. And how, of course, very importantly, is about how you can put that in practice. So do join us for the Evanesys Masterclass. Definitely looking forward. I mean, together we definitely looking forward to see you all there. Yeah. Thank you so much, Yusno.
Thanks, Michael.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Business software that's hard to use can make work feel pretty darn frustrating. Because instead of helping you do your job, it feels like it's working against you. But Freshworks makes software that people actually love to use. which means you can stop fighting your software and start working the way you've always imagined. Freshworks, ridiculously easy software for business.